Hello everyone and welcome back to Wargame Red Dragon. We have a bit of a Red 4 on Red 4 fight as I'm playing as the Soviets and my good friend Vimes is playing as Entente. Bit of a departure from his usual Eastern Bloc, and yes, he's commonly on this channel. He and I know each other quite well, go way back and all that, and that is something you have to understand about the games as well. We've played against each other so many times that you might see some things that you wouldn't ordinarily. You might see some things either ignored or capitalized on that you wouldn't ordinarily, just because, well, we kind of have a sneaking suspicion of how each other play. So I'm headed up toward Gregory. I'm hoping to contest this zone early on. I also have a Ka-52 heading right down the pipe, and my plan is to ignore Boris completely. I don't care. I have Spetsnaz GRU, I have BTR 80As. I'll be able to respond if there's a push. And that's all I care about. My hope is to get a hold of Feder, to get a hold of Gregory, and to not need anything else, quite frankly, because if I can take Feder, if I can take Gregory, then, I mean, hey, I'm fine, right? On the other hand, if I can take Feder and Gregory becomes a bit of a mosh pit, I guess, how they say, then things will be a little bit more complicated, and right off the bat, some of those excellent Entente helicopters are giving me a little bit of trouble. Motostrelki going down, BTR 80s getting stunned, and I'm not going to stay on my own perspective the whole time. I think you guys tend to like seeing the neutral's perspective more than you do seeing the kills after the match, so, well, that's what we'll do, and if I'm making a mistake there, just let me know, and I'll go back to showing the wins and losses. Well, kills and losses, I suppose, afterward. Oh, 64Cs making their way up. I do have a bomber coming in right off the bat, and there was this huge concentration of forces here, but evac ordered because, for some reason, bombs didn't drop. So, just misclick on my part, and unfortunately that plane goes down to an L-19. So, we could have flattened his push, and instead, here it comes, and I am not ready. I have Spetsnaz GRU, I have Motostrelki 90, but we've been shot up a little bit. There's a V4 headed that way. BTR 80s are going to open fire and get isolated and killed by the BTR 80, and this had me a little bit worried. So the Ka-52s are coming over to respond, a couple of Mi-4As, just trying these guys out. I thought maybe they might be good for anti-infantry usage, just sheer numbers of rocket pods, but also as a bit of a cheap screen for the Ka-52, where I don't care if these guys die, I care if the Ka-52 dies, and, you know, one of these things is clearly less advisable than the other. Over on the western side, near Boris, we do have a light skirmish going on, so my BTR 80A caught and getting shot at by a Vidra. We do get one kill, we do also lose a little bit, and my BMPTs headed up here to try and secure that, make sure it doesn't happen again. And, you know, my defensive line here is going to have to care about that, and maybe be reinforced later on. Mi-4As proving their worth as things to get shot first, but that rocket pod volley really wasn't bad. If they was a little farther away, if I could have gotten off another couple volleys, maybe back where the Ka-52 is, that would have been pretty nice. But the other one, fire control malfunctioning, is going to prevent him from firing, and my Ka-52 is going to have to back up as there's something in those woods that very much likes shooting at that helicopter. And now my whole push in Gregory's just gone. I mean, this was pretty amazing. If we switch to neutral, there's a whole bunch of stuff here. There's a V4, there's a Vidra, a couple weapons teams like the Concours, and some very damaged infantry, so I guess not terribly impressive what's left there, but it's a damn sight more than what I have here. And even over on the left, there's Motostrelki, there's Mechanizovna Pies, there's Przmiński, and all of this just capping, well, holding Boris, holding these woods here. And yeah, this is one of the struggles I've been having with the USSR lately. Everything is so expensive that when things start to go poorly, they really start to go poorly. So, I mean, the Technishka M, for example, wonderful, wonderful unit, but honestly, how I'm using it right now, I'm overpaying pretty dramatically. There's a bunch of other nations that have the same range versus versus helicopters for a lot cheaper, even the same number of missiles, like the Finnish ISO 90, which is 85 points for the same thing, pretty much. So, to try and get around this temporary deficit, I am sending up some Spetsnaz. Of course, sparring with vehicles is not in their wheelhouse, but there's light enough armor there, we are able to get the kill right off the bat. I think, yep, there it is, and I mean, there's another one, it's fine. The Vihor is really more of what I'm worried about, being spotted by the Hera 2 and just taken out by a couple tank shots, things I can't really deal with. And I decided, you know, let's be a little aggressive here. Spetsnaz GRU moved over from inside of Feder. Jalos and an 80A supporting as well is going to take apart those Przmiński and hopefully get me a little bit of a toehold in that western forest, which is always something I look for regardless of the map. BTR 80 is bringing in more troops, and this is something I should also probably reconsider. 15 points for that transport is really not worth it. I should have been bringing out mechanized infantry. That's something I'll be working on. here with deck composition pretty soon, but Spetsnaz are able to bring those nice Uris napalm launchers in against some infantry. We just missed that engagement, but maybe we'll see it again real soon, and we are able to chase these guys out. They probably could have held, honestly. Spetsnaz grew a single unit versus all of these infantrymen, and my Jalos destroyed by some nice ATGM work on the other side. Oh, here's the Riss launchers, 11 Motostrelki. Let's see the Spetsnaz fire. Ooh, that gun noise is a little loud. 6-3. Beautiful, beautiful work. There is a plane coming in, however, and I'm not sure. He might just be guarding against me at this point. It looks kind of like that L-19 might be circling, anticipating another bombing run, things like that. We did just have one on the western side here as well, so not too unreasonable of an expectation. But the Spetsnaz are going to be moving back. We don't really have enough support for them. I'm trying to build out some position back here. So the BTR-80s, Motostrelki, probably moving up a bit farther than they should. Jalos, Tungushka, more Jalos, and I mean, hey, I'll take the kills if I can get them, right? So Motostrelki are moving forward, and Spetsnaz stop because they cannot move and fire those Riss napalm launchers at the same time, but it turns out they were actually a little bit split up, so there's actually, well, were they? I thought they were. Huh. Yep, okay, so there's one forward, there's one farther back, and only the one farther back was able to bring that Riss online, but he's also panicked, so it's going to be a really long time to load, a really long time to fire. Nice catch by Vimes there, just catching the Spetsnaz ungrouped, and this was really annoying. I clicked stop, I was trying to get them to go back together, and they wouldn't. I should have split the group and just operated independently. SU-27PU is chasing down the L-19, and we catch him on the far side of that circle, so very nice catch there, and our PU is able to get out nice and safe. It's what you like to see. That sort of dogfight can start to lead to air superiority, and that can be a very nice thing. So here's another one of the oddities of when Vimes and I play each other. There's a lot of just static, well, static gameplay right now. We're just sort of feeling out the map. I have a slight points advantage by capping Feder, but he can neutralize that anytime by capping Boris. It's not really a concern. More of what we're doing is we're trying to make sure that the next push we do is one that actually has legs, and well, he's doing that. I'm trying to just round out my forces, but here comes that push, and it's going to be absolutely brutal. If we switch to neutral for just a second to show you, a lot of reinforcements are coming in here. He had more than I did to begin with. Besides, Spetsnaz getting Motostrelki will be a good thing for me, but the other sections here, I mean, another MiG coming in. Let's see how those bombs do. 500 kilogram bombs each, and landing on nothing. So we stun a Snezka with that. It's not exactly all that effective, and blind bombing runs are sort of falling out of favor with me at the moment. Just I'm kind of finally seeing how they really don't do all that much, but the Spetsnaz did very well, killing that group of infantry, and unfortunately Strop is going to start taking down my Mi-4As. Really kind of regretting that buy at the moment. Didn't really seem to be doing all that much. And my Ka-52 also getting hit by the Strop, so I'm trying to sacrifice the other cheaper helo and get this guy out of here, but that's that missile follow-up, and my Ka-52 goes down to an Igla. It's really sad to see that go. It's 150 points, it's very expensive, and once again I've been pretty much cleared out of Gregory, and now it's even worse than the first time. If we take a look, there's a whole lot here. That Vihor is still around. Mechanizovna probably going to be able to secure that town, and my Spetsnaz are just endlessly critting but not being able to kill those OAT-64Cs. I should have pulled them back. I kind of just wanted them to keep going, and another bomber MiG coming in, 500 kilogram bombs. Let's see what it does. Might get the Snezka, might get the Strop, and I think they were headed for the Strop. Yeah, nice 60-point kill there. Really can't complain about that. That was fine. But here's what I'm kind of saying, right? So if I was paying 5 points each instead of 15 points each for these transports, 20 points of saving per group, it's almost enough to bring another one out. So I would have had a lot more men able to resist that push, and there was more than enough time to get them there. That really wasn't the issue. Look at all these crits, man. Optical failure, stabilization, firing computer, weapons jammed, all of it. More Spetsnaz coming out. This was a questionable decision on my part. I really wanted to get Riss launchers online. I was trying to see if I could forestall his infantry. Maybe there wouldn't be a lot of follow-up with the big vehicles behind it for fear of, I don't know, helicopters, planes, things like that. But that was also called out, I mean, I don't know, it was a questionable decision. I do have VDV coming out in Skrzets, and that should be a bit more of an all-purpose decision. Spetsnaz finally getting overwhelmed. I should have pulled them back previously. Fight against Brzezinski is nice, but it's just too many guns, and my other Spetsnaz are getting chewed right through. So Su-27M coming in. I was hoping to get the Vihor. I don't think I did. We instead just got... oh, no. Yeah, no, it went down. Good. So we got the Vihor out of the way. M84AN still around, and this guy is particularly nasty. So 110 points of Scout Tank, which That's deadly enough with the 60 and the 75 point versions for a couple of the nations. M84AN is one of my favorite scout tanks for that purpose. Bombing run coming in, just trying to clear out that town. We do manage it. Monostrelki holding on the western side here, but they are spotted, which was a little bit terrifying. VDV coming up to support, but Spetsnaz, that's an expensive investment, and they really didn't get anything done. Would have been better off with probably some, I don't know, Gornostrelki there would have been better. That would have screened out the M84ANs and been cheaper to boot, right? So... you live and learn. Skretchit's trying to get fire on the Hera too, but he does just manage to get away. Let's see, guns opening up again, and down he goes. Just the M84AN, and this is less catastrophic than it seems. The VDV are going to hammer that guy, and if they can get a second volley, those vampire missiles, yeah, no, not quite able to do it. Nice micro there from Vimes pulling that guy back. Should have been a little bit of smoke probably at this point, and there's more than enough to push me out. Brzezinski and Snezkas, plus the M84, could have definitely swept through here. Probably should have, but Proletary as well, brought up by those Vidras. This should be more than enough. Two groups of Proletary going through here will be able to engage and kill my VDV without too much trouble. So, I did bring in a radar plane, gets fired at by a Neva Mit. So those guys are non-radar, and there's a whole lot of really potent non-radar AA. That's going to be a big problem, because it makes a seed plane worthless. It's one of the things I like about Entente. Those really, really powerful just IR anti-air, and you lose a little bit of range on it. Actually, let's go ahead and take a look at the stats here, because we can, may as well. Neva Mit, right. So 4,200 meter range versus airplanes is a little bit shortened, but it's still, I mean, he was shooting back at my my home zone sort of thing there, so small map like this, that's more than good enough. Large map, you might not want to do it, but that's a whole different can of worms anyway. BRDM2 sneaking up does catch a command vehicle that was headed in, and this was starting to worry me. Boris was still not capped. It definitely should have been by this point. There was enough of a solid hold in Gregory to allow that, and that would have cut off my advantage. As it is, I'm at plus 100, and this will come back to bite Vimes later on as the game goes. Spoilers, but yeah, not too bad. And had Boris been capped, and then with the CV going into Gregory, I don't really understand that. Even if you want to cap Gregory, why not cap Boris first? I haven't fought anything over here. There's a solid hold on it. Let's look. There's Conqueror's teams, Brzezinski, these guys need to be unloaded, but yeah, okay, here it comes. So I guess it was just waiting to do both. Good base defense as well, these guys need to be unloaded. A couple of those instances, but not too many. And there's a nice defensive concave here. I expected this, that's why I didn't really push in. I was hoping to get a cheeky kill with BRDM2, but too much defenses to allow that to happen. So I watched the Veltkita come in, I had no idea where it went. And that is going to be an issue. Gregory's getting capped, Boris is going to be getting capped too, and that means I'm going to start losing points, but I mean, I don't really have all that much. I mean, shit, I'm pretty confident I'm down points. Losing the seed plane is just insult to injury, so both of those Nevas, 2 volleys, more than enough chance to hit. Now we're bringing out some big guns. Another questionable decision, a bit of deck testing here. I wanted to see how well or how poorly these BMP3s could do. Of course, their primary is an Archon ATGM, secondary is a nice HE gun, and tertiary is an autocannon. They're like mini BMPTs, is what I was trying to see if they could perform like. Of course, this is the 60-point version. It's a 2A72 autocannon. Yeah, same autocannon. A bunch cheaper. I guess I see why people like them so much. But we are still taking losses here, the MI4A, BRDM2, and I'm trying to reinforce this position. I was really terrified this whole game that there was going to be artillery on this position right here, because it's about my last place where I can reasonably hold, and I don't know, I mean, some howitzers, some things like that, maybe an MLRS would be able to panic, stun, and just get rid of everything I have in this corner. But as it stands, the Motostrelki are able to make a nice little defensive concave here. A bit too far up, and yeah, we're getting shot at, but if they can get back, one group escapes, that's fine. BMP3s, Skretchits, BTRs, Monostrelki just trying to get a surprise in there. We do nail that strop, that was pretty nice. I think he survived, but we did get a nice shot in there. And now there's even more danger because Vimes is starting to get a little bit more precocious, so pushing around the side as well. I don't have a ton there, so Bomber comes in once again, trying to flatten that push, and that was brutal. Absolutely brutal, cutting off that push. And yeah, I lost the MiG, but we stabilized the situation. We stopped Vimes from pushing into Feder with infantry while I could get my own reinforcements. These guys were supposed to go over to Gregory, but a last-minute redirect will bring them up into Feder, as I'm starting to get the sense that, yeah, he's going to be moving through on both ends here, and that's going to be a really horrible, horrible thing for me. We will stay on 2 or maybe even 3 just for a bit. The pace of this game is pretty slow. I mean, we were chatting the whole time too, right? So it's just a bit of a hangout with a friend kind of moment. So always good for those. They don't have to be the most cutting edge, competitive sorts of things. I was firing a Malka, also just testing this guy out. Was very happy with what I got. 10 HE power, lots of kills on that guy at the end of this match. But my reinforcements here are getting spotted, probably by Snezkas in these woods, and yep, we actually identify one. I'm trying to bring up some Spetsnaz Gru because right now I'm kind of blind, right? So no recon here. That is a problem. I know I should split these guys. I should move them up. Again, not exactly the sweatiest and most intensive games, but Mechanizovna, this was a complete mistake on Vime's part, by which I mean it was unintentional. He knew this position was going to be held. He had no intention of bringing infantry reinforcements up this way, but they decided to go. So a couple of dead Vidras, a couple of dead infantry, and a lot of waste there that was completely unintentional. I'm trying to make some moves happen here, so we are pushing Motostrelki, Spetsnaz Gru, and a whole bunch of complementary vehicles up. M84AN is going to make my life hard, but if I can cut off his scout infantry here, we might be able to get something done. In the meantime, BMPT is moving up, Motostrelki moving up. I thought maybe this side wouldn't be that well defended, and if we take a look, it actually isn't. So there's a bunch here, but not farther out, and so my Motostrelki are able to go around and hopefully through. Risk of sounding cliche, but you know, that was the goal, and we might be able to do it. Mi-25 getting a bit too close. BMP3s dealing with Specjalny Jednotski that are just out of the woods, just barely out of the woods. And that was their downfall, as those HE guns are opening up and getting a kill. Motostrelki 90 moving over. We've fought decently well in these woods here. I was actually kind of impressed by how that was going, and these guys are going to be running into trouble, but BMP3s firing on reinforcements, ATGMs doing a lot of work, and a bit of a mistake by my opponent here. He didn't realize I couldn't see this guy, and moving him out of the way actually made him a target for those autocannons, and that was what allowed me to get his CV. So fair enough. We also smack another couple of Vidras, and these BMP3s are performing absolutely amazingly. I definitely want to see more use out of them in the future. And this is a setting I've since changed. The default setting is that you won't fire on resupply vehicles. I've changed that, and this was a mistake as well. I thought maybe he would move stuff back and I could push into the towns, but he actually held the front line pretty steady. So more BMP3s, just getting those 2 A70s online against Proletari, so not a lot of damage. They're in towns. It means they're going to be relatively well defended, and Gamma 2, very cheap answer to BMP3s. I mean, this was a beautiful play here. So 4 Matlyuka missiles, 24 AP power is pretty decent. It's more than enough to overwhelm the armor in this guy. Swing and a miss, but 45 points, 80 points worth of kill. Well, no, 60 points. Are they 40 or 30? I've so rarely used them, I don't quite remember, so let's take a look. 40, 80 points of kills off 45 points of helicopter. It's pretty mean. SU-27M does come in, and we got one of the Nevas, but I lose the 27M. Bit of a mistake there. Motostrelki 90 probably could have cleared that out on their own, and now we're going to attempt to do it. So if I can get into the woods, if I can survive that long, we can get some of those 7 VRs online. That could definitely be a good thing. Yep, here's the other Neva Met. Fire away. And yeah, the other guy would have been right next to him. I could have still had my jet, could have not lost all of those points, as well as just the availability of that very, very nice ATGM plane. But instead I did, and now I've realized, well, this has gone well, now it's turning a little bit sour. Let's get these guys back. Let's try not to lose absolutely everything. M84AN rear shotted by Motostrelki 90. That was a beautiful, beautiful kill. I guess he was trying to turn, but yeah, we got the kill anyway, and these Motostrelki have definitely paid for themselves. Skrzyd's other Motostrelki not so much, and once again, things are looking pretty grim. So, neutral perspective, there's still a lot here, right? We gutted a lot of his high expensive units, but there's more Vidras, there's Snezkas, there's Przminski, there's Strops, there's a whole big infantry push pushing me back out of the woods here, and my Motostrelki and Spetsnaz Gru are not up to it by any sense. I mean, nice last kill on a Vidra, 20 points. Fair enough. I guess these guys, they're an interesting niche, right? They're so expensive that was a really not great loss to have in the woods-to-wood fighting, but they also have ATGMs, they have excellent autocannons. I think they almost like hedge garrotes, which is an interesting sort of thing to have to wrap your head around, because, I don't know, I wouldn't necessarily bring them into the deep woods. They're going to run into more anti-tank weapons than they really want to deal with. We do have a Hera 2 over here. There will be some action over there by the end of the game, but for right now, all is still quiet. on that front. BTR-80 getting a little bit ahead of himself. I don't remember why, what was going through my head when I did that. Probably wasn't anything productive. But we are being chased now. Spetsnaz Guru and the Monostrelki being chased by Mechanizovna and Proletary. Actually, quite a lot. So that's a group of 2, a group of 2, a group of 14. They're pretty damaged, pretty injured. We've been dueling them for a while now, so that was at least nice. BTR-80 is bringing up more Monostrelki 90, and I was a little worried that this push would get out of hand, so I think we are going to be seeing a bomber. Those rifles are so loud, jeez. More fire from the Malka, and this is something you can definitely see is different between me and my opponent here. He definitely should have been using artillery as the game was rounding into, pretty late, only 13 minutes left, more than enough time to call in a couple hundred points of artillery. I should have probably called in more myself, but my front line was damaged enough that, well, as a player I was hanging out with earlier today said, well, artillery is offensive. So calling it in on the defensive, it won't save your front line, but if you can use it to support a push, well, then a good breakthrough can become a great breakthrough. And speaking of breakthroughs, we have an attempt over here, Vidra 2s and Proletary, and here's the kind of goofy thing. So I pointed this out to Vimes after the game was over. Vidras are amphibious. 64Cs, amphibious. All of this stuff could have crossed the river on wheels, and there's nothing over here. So there's no way for him to know that, but the fighting had been so heavy on the eastern side that might have been worth exploring, sending a couple of these over, seeing what happens, and afterwards just transporting the infantry over really nice and quickly before they're able to get bottlenecked or responded to. And then he's in center, and I've got to shake him out of there. That'll lead to a +3 on his part, actually a +4 on his part if he can hold it and then cap it. The MP3s, meanwhile, sparring with some vehicles here, not really. So they don't take ATGMs well. I should have expected that, but nevertheless, it looks like they're best at their extreme range, where they can use the HE guns and the ATGMs without too much consequence. This did disappear, and I actually really didn't notice it at the time. I really didn't notice those infantry peeking out there. I should have. I didn't. BMPT coming up this way, and Spetsnaz Guru, single man left, fighting against Proletary, using that Dragunov to good effect and trying to retreat, trying to save the Spetsnaz Guru. BMPT take up a defensive position here, and once again, I am really just stuck in this one corner. Vimes is now about to take the lead, 115 points, +1 ticking for him to my 117, and now we can really see the impact of him letting me get a +1 ticking for as long as he did. He could be up by nearly 100 points now if Boars had been capped earlier, and frankly, I might have just surrendered at that point. 10 minutes left, looking what I have left on the field. Yeah, that would have been really uncomfortable, and I'm trying to do a breakthrough approach here. It was one of those where if I'm losing on this side, maybe it's time to change the paradigm a little bit. So T80UM brought up to the top, and I'm thinking about just going right down the pipe here and trying to attack into the center, maybe make him redirect some infantry, some reinforcements, and draw fire away from Gregory. Well, I do have a BMD-2K, the riskiest choice here ever, headed up to capping Gregory. This would, I would not necessarily do this against somebody I hadn't played against before, but by this point in the match I was thinking, he might actually be safe. If I can form a defensive wall, VDV, Monostrelki 90, some scratch hits, maybe some recon infantry if they can stay alive this time, well, there hasn't been artillery. He might live, and if I can counter cap here, that would be pretty nice. We do also have the Malka shooting in a suspected position of command infantry, and the BMPT and T80UM moving forward, but optical failure, and that guy is going to get absolutely just railed by an M84AN. But the Malka's doing great work. There was a bit of a switch to the command infantry moving around. I didn't know they were there. I just kind of suspected after the first one was killed that he might have put something in that town, and the Malka is definitely going to be making that a challenging thing. We actually did take him out, and that makes it +0, but the second my BMD-2K gets in here, that's a +1 for me. Only about 25 points different, so, that could get pretty rough pretty quick. I also have a KA-52 over around the side, and yes, I'm gonna be a little dishonorable. So, Spetsnaz Guru going up spotting, should have done this before I had the T80UM up there. What a sad little tank. He tried his heart out, and just there was too much opposition. Can't really ask more of him than that. My KA-52 is now completely behind Elena and Anna, and I was originally thinking, well, send him over to Anna, just YOLO that home node. And then I was like, okay, well, we killed some command infantry with the Malka. Elena is probably lightly guarded against AA from, well, 4AA from the rear, so maybe Elena would be a better choice, and yeah, we're still taking incoming fire here. BTR-80A killed on the way up, Spetsnaz crew destroyed before they could even get into the town, let alone provide any sort of utility, and this should have pushed earlier. Look at that. Proletary, Przminski, Proletary, Strops, Vidras, more infantry, Snezkas, Mechanizovna. All this had to do was attack, move forward, and this game would have been well and truly over. So well played to Vimes for that there. I mean, this was probably the worst way to lose, honestly. Well, worst way to not win, I guess, for him. Velkskita UAZ is spotted, position marked at KA-52, moving back, and that Molka is already going to be, actually double spotted what Molka is now, is already going to be sighting in on that position and firing away. And this is the thing, I've really struggled with just longevity playing as the USSR. Again, I think my transports are too expensive, I think I'm not bringing in enough numbers, too many, too expensive items. Tungushka, I mean, geez, 5 shots for Gazella, 6, 7, 8, oh, no, 7 shots for a freaking Gazella. Jeez. But we do get the command vehicle in Elena. Gregory is now countercapped again, but Elena's giving us a +2, and that's going to make the game 159 to 142, winding down into the last 5 minutes. Pushing forward here in the center, well, in between Feder and Gregory, just trying to distract, make my opponent feel like there's more going on here, that there's more opposition than is actually present, and hopefully, I mean, all I was trying to do was forestall a push on Gregory. That's all I was trying to do, is just make him think that there was more there than there was. I mean, this was pretty brutal. This whole game was pretty brutal, and not really in my favor. BMPT does get a nice kill there on a Snezka, but look at this. T-72 M1M, K-52 gets hit by a Strop. Might be able to escape, might not. Akula is coming over here to answer. I finally saw some of those transports, and I didn't want anything to do with that in the late game, so 6 of those Vikar missiles already fired and already made contact with the enemy. But I'm going to fast forward here. I just want to show you guys the neutral perspective here at the end as Vimes does begin to push. I mean, look at this. This is what he needed to do all along. I can't stop this. Not really. My bombers are gone, long gone actually, and I guess, you know, we're fighting admirably. The VDV are doing nice, the Skrezhets are doing pretty decently, stunning and killing Mechanizovna. Also a gigantic push along this western side is about to come in, as well as just everything from these central units. All he had to do was attack, and I would have lost this game. I think, maybe I'm being a bit harsh on him, but I don't know. I mean, it was a wonderful play from that Entente deck, lots of good value kills, and Strop 2 is just denying my MI4As from helping at all. I guess, you know, I'm really surprised that that worked. I thought that the position would crumple. With a little bit of artillery support, it definitely would have. And yeah, I mean, I'm feeling the pain of it now on that side. Look at this, everything here coming over the river and getting shot up. So the Vikar missiles, all 12 of them have been used, that main autocannon shooting in directly against infantry and against some transports. Gamma 2 is coming in, but the Kulas have Iglas, and that's going to be a dead helicopter. There's also, look at that, Hera 2 around the back end. Well, that is going to be it. I do manage to hang on to a narrow victory here, just as I think, well, take and hold kind of ish worked. Better lucky than good sometimes, although I've been relying on luck a little too often lately, so gonna have to work on the getting good part of things. In terms of kills and losses, 35-75 for me, 35-80 for my opponent. I've never seen a closer kills losses after a game like this, and truly well played to Vimes. Victory should have been his, a couple of different plays, and it definitely would have been, so I look forward to our next match where he can bring home that W. Well, that's all we've got for today. Thank you all for hanging around, and we'll see you again real soon.